Dr. Lisa Morgan walked slowly across the rocky ground of Kepler 442b. The planet was cold and windy. Red dust flew everywhere. She held her scanner in front of her, looking for signs of life. This was her job. She was a scientist who studied alien creatures. The research base was far behind her now. She could barely see it through the thick, orange clouds. Lisa had been on this planet for 6 months. So far, she had found only small bugs and strange plants. Nothing exciting. Nothing that would make the people back on Earth happy. The wind got stronger. Lisa pulled her coat tighter around her body. Her scanner started beeping. Something was moving nearby. Something big. Lisa walked toward the sound. Behind a large rock, she found something that made her heart stop. A creature lay on the ground. It looked like a wolf, but it was different. It had 6 legs instead of 4. Its fur was not normal fur. It looked like crystal that changed colors in the light. The creature was breathing hard. Dark blue blood came from a wound on its side. The creature was beautiful and strange. Its eyes were golden and very smart. Too smart for just an animal. When it saw Lisa, it did not run away. It just looked at her with those knowing eyes. Lisa knew the rules. She was not supposed to touch any alien creatures. She was only supposed to watch them and take pictures. But this creature was dying. She could see that clearly. She took a step closer. The creature made a soft sound. Not angry or scared. More like it was asking for help. Lisa looked at her scanner. The creature's body temperature was dropping fast. It would die soon if she did nothing. Then she heard something else. A small cry coming from under the creature. Lisa moved around to get a better look. There, protected under the adult creature's body, was a baby. It was tiny, about the size of a house cat. Its crystal fur was dim and gray. The baby was shivering and crying softly. The adult creature was using its last strength to keep the baby warm and safe. Even though it was dying, it was still trying to protect its child. Lisa's heart broke. She had to do something. She looked around. No one from her team was nearby. She was alone with these 2 creatures on this cold, empty planet. She knelt down next to the adult creature. "I want to help," she said quietly. She did not know if it could understand her words, but maybe it could understand her voice. The creature looked at her for a long moment. Then it made a sound. It was musical, like singing. Beautiful and sad at the same time. The creature's crystal fur began to glow brighter. The colors changed from blue to purple to gold. Lisa understood. The creature was saying goodbye to its baby. It was asking her to take care of it. Tears came to Lisa's eyes. She reached out slowly and touched the adult creature's head. Its fur felt warm and smooth, like glass heated by the sun. The creature looked at her one more time. Then its eyes closed, and it stopped breathing. The baby cried louder now. It was scared and cold. Lisa picked it up carefully.
It was so small and light.
She could feel its tiny heart beating very fast. Its crystal fur was soft, softer than anything she had ever touched. Lisa's radio started making noise. "Dr. Morgan," came the voice of Captain Peterson, the mission leader. "We have a problem. Big storm coming. We need to leave the planet right now. Get back to the base immediately." Lisa looked at the baby creature in her arms. If she left it here, it would die. If she took it with her, she would be breaking every rule. She could lose her job. She could go to prison. The baby looked up at her with the same golden eyes as its parent. It made a tiny sound, like a kitten mewing. It was asking her to save it. Lisa made her choice. She took off her thermal jacket. It was warm and lined with special material to keep heat in. She wrapped the baby creature in the jacket carefully. The little thing stopped crying and snuggled into the warmth. "I will take care of you," Lisa whispered to it. "I promise." She put the wrapped baby inside her backpack, making sure it could breathe. Then she started running back to the base. The wind was getting stronger. The orange clouds were getting thicker. Lightning flashed in the sky. When Lisa reached the base, everyone was rushing around. They were packing equipment and getting ready to leave. The storm was coming fast. "Morgan," Captain Peterson shouted. "Where have you been? We leave in 5 minutes." Sorry, sir, Lisa said. I was collecting samples. She climbed onto the transport ship with the others. Her backpack felt warm against her back. Inside, the baby creature was quiet and still. Lisa hoped it was sleeping, not sick. As the ship lifted off from the planet, Lisa looked out the window. Below them, the storm hit the surface. Lightning covered the ground where she had been walking. If she had stayed longer, she would have died. But she had saved a life. Maybe she had done the wrong thing according to the rules. But it felt right in her heart. During the long trip back to Earth, Lisa kept the baby creature hidden in her room. She fed it small pieces of food and gave it water. It grew stronger every day. It was very smart. It watched everything she did. It seemed to understand when she talked to it. On the last day of the trip, the baby made its first real sound. It was the same musical sound its parent had made. Beautiful and sad and grateful all at the same time. Lisa decided to call it Echo because it could copy sounds so well. She did not know what she would do when they reached Earth. She only knew that she could not let anything bad happen to Echo. The adult creature had trusted her with its most precious thing. Lisa would not let it down. As Earth grew bigger in the window, Lisa held Echo close. Whatever happened next, they would face it together. She had made a promise to a dying alien mother. She would keep that promise no matter what. 3 weeks had passed since Lisa returned to Earth. She lived in a small apartment near the research center in Colorado. Every day, she went to work like normal. But her life was not normal anymore. In her private lab, hidden from everyone else, lived Echo. The little creature had grown fast. He was now the size of a medium dog. His crystal fur had become brighter and more colorful. When he was happy, it glowed soft blue. When he was excited, it turned bright gold. When he was sleeping, it was silver, like moonlight. Echo was very smart. Too smart for an animal. He watched everything Lisa did. When she typed on her computer, he would sit next to her and look at the screen. When she ate dinner, he would copy the way she held her fork, even though he ate with his mouth. The most amazing thing was how fast Echo learned to understand human words. At first, Lisa thought it was just luck when he seemed to know what she was saying. But soon, it was clear that he really understood. Echo, come here, Lisa would say, and he would walk to her. Echo, sit, she would say, and he would sit down. Echo, are you hungry? She would ask, and he would run to his food bowl. Echo also tried to talk back. He could not make human words, but he made musical sounds. Different sounds meant different things. A low, soft hum meant he was happy. A sharp, high note meant he wanted something. A long, flowing song meant he was sleepy. Lisa wrote down everything about Echo in secret files on her computer. She used a special code, so no one else could read them. She knew that if anyone found out about Echo, bad things would happen. The government would take him away. Scientists would want to study him. Maybe they would hurt him to learn how his body worked. She could not let that happen. But keeping Echo's secret was getting harder. He was growing bigger every day. Soon, her small apartment would not be big enough for him. And Echo was getting restless. He wanted to go outside. He would stand by the window and make sad sounds as he looked at the sky. At work, Lisa tried to act normal. But her boss, Dr. Frank Hayes, was starting to ask questions. Your report from Kepler 442b seems incomplete, he said one morning. You mentioned finding some interesting rock samples, but nothing about animal life. Are you sure you did not miss anything? I am sure, Lisa lied. The storm came too fast. I did not have time for a complete survey. Dr. Hayes looked at her for a long moment. The satellite data shows some unusual energy readings from that planet. We might need to send another team. Lisa's heart jumped. If another team went to Kepler 442b, they might find the body of Echo's parent. They might figure out what really happened. Meanwhile, Captain Jake Sullivan of the Earth Defense Force was having his own problems. He worked at a military base in Nevada. His job was to watch for threats from space. Recently, his computers had been picking up strange signals. The signals came from the direction of the Kepler system. They were not random. They had a pattern, like music or language. But they were too faint to understand. Clearly, Captain Sullivan worked with a team of smart people. Amy Chun was his tactical officer. She was good at planning military operations. Ben Torres was his communications specialist. He was an expert at understanding signals from space. "These signals are definitely artificial," Ben told the captain. "Someone or something is sending them on purpose." "Any idea what they mean?" Captain Sullivan asked. "Not yet, but they started 3 weeks ago, right after Dr. Morgan's team came back from Kepler 442b. Amy looked up from her computer. "That is interesting timing. Maybe we should talk to Dr. Morgan." Captain Sullivan nodded. "Set up a meeting. But be careful. If she found something out there, she might be trying to hide it." Back in her apartment, Lisa was having a strange experience. For the past few nights, she had been having very realistic dreams. In these dreams, she was running through a forest. But it was not an earth forest. The trees were tall and silver. The ground was covered with crystal flowers that chimed like bells when the wind touched them. In the dreams, Lisa was not alone. She ran with a pack of large creatures that looked like Echo, but full-grown. Their crystal fur blazed with light as they moved through the forest. They were hunting something, but not to kill it. They were protecting something precious. The dreams felt so real. When Lisa woke up, she could still smell the strange flowers and hear the crystal chimes. She could feel the soft ground under her feet and the wind in her hair. One morning, Lisa woke up and found Echo sitting next to her bed, staring at her with his golden eyes. His fur was glowing soft purple. "Did you have the same dream?" Lisa asked him. Echo made a low, musical sound. It sounded like yes. Lisa sat up in bed. This was impossible. How could she and Echo have the same dream? Unless it was not really a dream at all. That day at work, Lisa tried to concentrate on her regular job. But she kept thinking about the dreams and about Echo. During lunch, she went to the library and searched for information about animal telepathy and shared consciousness. Most of what she found was not scientific. But there were a few research papers about animals that seemed to share thoughts with their owners. Dogs that knew when their owners were coming home, even when they came at different times each day. Cats that could find their owners from hundreds of miles away. Maybe some animals could connect with human minds in ways that science did not understand yet. Maybe Echo was one of those animals. When Lisa got home that evening, Echo was waiting for her by the door. But something was different. He seemed nervous. His fur was flickering between colors quickly, like a broken light. "What is wrong, Echo?"
Lisa asked.
Echo ran to the window and looked outside. He made a sharp, warning sound. Lisa looked out the window too. Across the street, a black car was parked. 2 men in dark suits sat inside, watching her building. Lisa's blood turned cold. Somehow, someone had found out about Echo. They were watching her. Soon, they would come for him. She had to think fast. She had to protect Echo. But how do you hide a crystal-furred alien creature from people who already suspect you have one? Echo came to her side and pressed against her leg. His fur was warm and comforting. He made a soft sound that seemed to say, "We will figure this out together." Lisa put her hand on Echo's head. Whatever happened, she would not let them take him. She had made a promise to his dying parent. She would keep that promise, even if it meant risking everything. Outside, the men in the black car continued to watch and wait. The dreams were getting stronger. Every night, Lisa found herself running through the crystal forest with a pack of creatures. But now, the dreams felt more real than her waking life. She could smell the alien flowers, feel the soft ground under her feet, and hear the musical calls of the pack. In the dreams, Lisa understood things without words. She knew the creatures were called Kithra. She knew they were very old and very wise. She knew they had been watching humanity for a long time. The most surprising thing was that in the dreams, Lisa was not human anymore. She had crystal fur like the others. She could run on 4 legs as easily as 2. She could make the same musical sounds to communicate. When Lisa woke up each morning, Echo would be sitting beside her bed, his golden eyes watching her carefully. His fur would glow the same colors she remembered from the dream. It was like he was checking to make sure she remembered what they had shared. Lisa began to understand that these were not dreams at all. Echo was sharing his memories with her. Somehow, their minds were connected. At work, Lisa tried to act normal, but it was getting harder. She felt different. Her senses were sharper. She could hear conversations from across the room. She could smell things that other people could not smell. Sometimes, she found herself wanting to make musical sounds instead of talking. Dr. Hayes was getting more suspicious. He had been asking other people about Lisa's behavior. He had also been in contact with someone from the government about the unusual readings from Kepler 442b. One Tuesday morning, Dr. Hayes called Lisa into his office. "Lisa, I have been thinking about your mission report," he said. "I think you left out some important information." "I do not know what you mean," Lisa replied. "We have new data from the planet. Satellite images show something large died in the area where you were working. Something that was not there before you arrived." Lisa's heart started beating faster. Maybe it was just rocks moved by the storm. Dr. Hayes looked at her closely. "Maybe. Or maybe you found something and decided to keep it secret. If that is true, you need to tell me now, before this gets out of hand." Lisa wanted to tell him everything. She was tired of lying and hiding. But she thought about Echo, alone in her apartment, trusting her to keep him safe. "I found nothing unusual," she said firmly. Dr. Hayes sighed. "I hope you are telling the truth, Lisa. Because tomorrow some people from the government are coming to talk to you." That evening, Lisa rushed home. The black car was still parked across the street. The same two men were still watching. But now there was a second car, too. Lisa ran up to her apartment. Echo was waiting by the door, his fur flashing bright orange. He was agitated and scared. "I know," Lisa said. "They are getting closer. We need to think of something." She began packing a bag. Maybe they could run away. Maybe they could hide somewhere until she figured out what to do. But where could they go? Echo was too big to hide easily now. He was the size of a large dog. His crystal fur made him impossible to mistake for any Earth animal. As Lisa packed, Echo kept making worried sounds. His fur was changing colors rapidly. Suddenly, he stopped and looked toward the window. His fur turned bright white, brighter than Lisa had ever seen it. There was a knock at the door. Lisa froze. It was too early for the government people. It was only 7 in the evening. The knock came again, louder this time. "Dr. Morgan?" called a voice. "This is Agent Roberts from Homeland Security. We need to talk to you." Lisa looked at Echo. His fur was now blazing like a small sun. He was angry and protective. "Hide," Lisa whispered to him. "Go in the bedroom and stay quiet." But Echo did not move. Instead, he walked toward the door. His fur got brighter and brighter. "Dr. Morgan," the voice called again. "We know you are in there. Open the door, or we will break it down." Lisa heard other voices outside. More than just 2 men now. Maybe 6 or 7 people. She went at the door, but did not open it. "What do you want?" "We want to talk about what you found on Kepler 442b. We know you brought something back. Something that does not belong on Earth." Lisa's mind raced. How did they know? Had someone seen Echo? Had they been watching her apartment with special cameras? "I do not know what you are talking about," Lisa said through the door. "Dr. Morgan, we have heat sensors. We can see 2 heat signatures in your apartment. One human, one not human. Open the door now." Echo walked up behind Lisa. His fur was so bright now that the whole room was filled with white light. He opened his mouth and made a sound Lisa had never heard before. It was not musical like his usual sounds. It was deep and powerful, like thunder or an earthquake. The windows in the apartment shook. The lights flickered. Outside, Lisa heard the men shouting in surprise and fear. What was that? The sensors just went crazy. Something is jamming our equipment. Echo made the sound again, louder this time. Lisa felt the vibration in her bones. It was not just sound. It was some kind of energy that Echo could produce. Suddenly, all the lights in the building went out. Car alarms started going off in the street. The men outside were shouting and running. In the darkness, Echo's fur provided the only light. He walked to the window and looked up at the sky. He made a long musical call. It was different from the powerful sound he had made before. This was like a song, rising and falling in beautiful patterns. Lisa joined him at the window. At first, she saw nothing unusual, just the dark sky and a few stars. Then something began to change. The air above the city started to shimmer, like heat waves rising from hot pavement. But it was night, and the air was cool. The shimmer grew stronger. Then, one by one, shapes began to appear in the sky. Lisa's breath caught in her throat. Ships. Huge ships, hanging silently above the city. They were beautiful and strange, made of what looked like the same crystal material as Echo's fur. They glowed with soft light, casting rainbow colors across the buildings below.
More ships appeared, dozens of them.
Then hundreds. They filled the sky as far as Lisa could see. Echo made his musical call again. This time, the ships answered. A chorus of sounds came from the sky, like 1,000 voices, singing in harmony. People were coming out of their houses and buildings, looking up in wonder and fear. The men who had been trying to break into Lisa's apartment were standing in the street, staring at the sky with their mouths open. One of the largest ships moved closer. It stopped directly above Lisa's building. A beam of soft light came down from the ship. In the light, a figure began to form. It was like a hologram, but more real. It was a Kythera, but much larger than Echo. Its crystal fur was deep gold, and its eyes were ancient and wise. The figure looked directly at Lisa through the window. When it spoke, Lisa heard the words both with her ears and in her mind. Lisa Morgan, the Alpha Prime said, "You have shown kindness to one of our children. You have proven that some humans can be trusted. It is time for our people to meet." Echo ran to the window and pressed his paws against the glass. His fur was bright gold now, matching the color of the Alpha Prime. He made happy, excited sounds. The Alpha Prime smiled, if creatures like him could smile. "Echo has told us much about you, Lisa Morgan. He has shared your mind with ours. We have seen your kindness and your courage." Lisa found her voice.
Who are you?
"What do you want?" "We are the Kythera. We have been watching your species for many years. Most races we encounter are not ready for contact. They are too violent, too selfish. But you saved Echo when you could have left him to die. You risked everything to protect him. This tells us that some humans might be different." Outside, Lisa could hear sirens and helicopters. The military was responding to the alien ships. But the ships just hung in the sky, peaceful and beautiful. "There is something else," the Alpha Prime continued. "A great danger is coming to this part of the galaxy. An enemy that destroys everything in its path. We have been fighting them for thousands of years. We came here to evacuate your people before the enemy arrives." Lisa felt cold fear in her stomach. "Evacuate us? What kind of enemy?" "They are called the Devourers. They are machines that eat entire worlds. They are coming here, to your solar system. We thought we would have to save your people by taking them away from Earth." The Alpha Prime looked at Echo, then back at Lisa. "But Echo has changed our minds. He has shown us that humans might be able to help us fight instead of just run away. The bond between you and him is something we have never seen before." Lisa looked at Echo. His golden eyes were full of trust and love. She realized that over the past weeks, he had become more than just a creature she was protecting. He had become part of her family, part of her heart. "What kind of bond?" she asked. "Put your hand on Echo's head," the Alpha Prime said. "Open your mind to him completely. Do not be afraid." Lisa knelt down and placed her hand on Echo's warm, crystal fur. She closed her eyes and tried to relax her mind. Suddenly, she was not in her apartment anymore. She was standing in a vast forest under alien stars. Around her stood hundreds of Kythera, their fur glowing like living jewels. She could feel their thoughts, their emotions, their memories. She was connected to all of them. She was part of the pack. And they were part of her. Her connection with the Kythera pack was overwhelming. Lisa could feel hundreds of minds touching hers. Each one was different, with its own personality and memories. But they were all connected, like parts of one giant family. Through the mental link, Lisa learned things that would have taken years to understand otherwise. The Kithra were ancient. They had been traveling among the stars for over 50,000 Earth years. They were explorers and protectors, watching over younger species as they grew and developed. Most species failed their test. When the Kithra first made contact, the young races usually responded with fear and violence. They tried to capture Kithra technology. They wanted to use it to build weapons and conquer their neighbors. When this happened, the Kithra would quietly move the species to a safe planet far from other civilizations, where they could not hurt anyone else. But Lisa had done something different. She had shown compassion to a creature she did not understand. She had risked her career and her freedom to save Echo's life. This kind of selfless behavior was rare in the galaxy. When Lisa opened her eyes, she was back in her apartment. Echo was sitting beside her, his fur warm and bright. The Alpha Prime's hologram was still at the window. "You felt it," the Alpha Prime said. "The bond that connects all Kithra. No other species has ever been able to share this connection. It makes us curious about humans." Outside, Lisa could hear more sirens and helicopters. The military was gathering, but they seemed confused. The Kithra ships were not threatening anyone. They just floated silently in the sky, beautiful and peaceful. "You said there was an enemy coming," Lisa said. "Tell me about the Devourers." The Alpha Prime's expression became sad and serious. "They are machines, but not like your computers or robots. They think and learn, but they have no emotions, no compassion. They see all organic life as fuel to be consumed." Images began to form in Lisa's mind. She saw vast metal ships, each one as big as a moon. She saw planets being torn apart, their matter converted into energy to power the Devourer fleet. She saw entire star systems left empty and dark after the machines passed through. "They have been growing stronger for millions of years," the Alpha Prime continued. "They started in a distant galaxy and have been moving toward this one. We have been fighting them since they first appeared, but they are very difficult to stop." Lisa felt sick. "How long before they get here?" "Our scouts estimate 6 months. Maybe less. We came to evacuate your people before then. We have done this many times before. It is always sad to abandon a world, but it is better than letting everyone die." "But now you think humans might be able to help fight them?" The Alpha Prime looked at Echo. "The bond you share with Echo is unique. In battle, Kithra work together perfectly because we can share thoughts instantly. We can coordinate attacks and defenses without any delay. But we have been losing ground against the Devourers because they adapt to our tactics quickly." Lisa began to understand. "You think humans might fight differently?"
Yes.
"Your species has something most others do not. You will sacrifice yourselves to protect others, even strangers, even creatures different from yourselves. This is very rare in the galaxy." Just then, Lisa's radio crackled to life. It was tuned to the emergency frequency. "All units, this is General Martinez," came a voice. "We have multiple unknown aircraft over major cities worldwide. They do not respond to radio contact. All military units are ordered to maintain defensive positions, but do not engage unless attacked." The Alpha Prime heard this too. "Your military leaders are being wise. We do not wish to fight humans. We wish to offer you a choice." "What kind of choice?" "You can come with us now. We will take your people to a safe world, far from the Devourers. You will live, but you will never see Earth again. Or you can stay and fight alongside us. But if you choose to fight, everything will change. Humans and Kithra will be bonded together forever. You will become something new." Lisa thought about this. "What happens to people who bond with Kithra?" "Show her," Echo said suddenly.
Lisa was surprised.
Echo had never spoken in human words before. His voice was strange, musical, but clearly understandable. The Alpha Prime nodded. "Echo has learned your language by being connected to your mind. He can speak now because you have taught him how." Echo stood up and walked to Lisa. "The bond changes both sides. You become part Kithra. We become part human. Not just in mind, but in body too." "What do you mean?" Echo's fur began to glow brighter. As Lisa watched, his crystal fur started to change. It became softer, more like regular animal fur. His 6 legs shifted, becoming more like the legs of an earth wolf. His golden eyes stayed the same, but his face became less alien and more familiar. At the same time, Lisa felt changes in herself. Her senses became sharper. She could smell things she had never noticed before. She could hear sounds from far away. When she looked in the mirror on her wall, she saw that her eyes had golden flecks in them, just like Echo's. The bonding is already happening, the Alpha Prime explained. You and Echo have been connected for weeks. Both of you are changing slowly. Lisa was amazed but not afraid. The changes felt natural, like she was becoming who she was always meant to be. If humans choose to fight, the Alpha Prime continued, many of your people will undergo this bonding process. They will become part of our pack. Together, we might have a chance against the Devourers. And if we choose to be evacuated, then your species will survive, but Earth will be lost. The Devourers will strip this world bare and move on to the next system. It was an impossible choice. Stay and fight an enemy that had conquered entire galaxies, or abandon their home world to save their lives. I cannot make this decision for all humans, Lisa said. We know. That is why we revealed ourselves tonight. Your leaders will need to decide quickly. We estimate that the Devourer Advanced Scouts will arrive in your system within 1 month. The radio crackled again. Dr. Morgan, this is Captain Sullivan of the Earth Defense Force. We know you are in contact with the alien ships. We need to talk immediately.
Lisa looked at the Alpha Prime.
Should I trust them? That choice is yours. But remember, we can protect you if needed. The bond with Echo makes you part of our pack now. We do not abandon pack members. Lisa made her decision. She walked to the radio. Captain Sullivan, this is Dr. Morgan. I will come and talk to you, but I am bringing Echo with me.
Echo.
The Kithara I rescued from Kepler, 442b. He is how you will communicate with their leaders. There was a long pause. Dr. Morgan, please confirm what you just said. The aliens are called Kithara. They are not here to hurt us. They are here to warn us about something much worse. Something that is coming to destroy our world. We will send a secure transport to your location. Do not bring any weapons. Lisa almost laughed. Captain, I do not think your weapons would work against them anyway. She looked at Echo and the Alpha Prime. Are you ready for this? Echo's fur glowed bright gold. We are ready. The pack stands together. The Alpha Prime nodded. Remember, Lisa Morgan, whatever your leaders decide, the bond between you and Echo cannot be broken. You are part of our family now. If humans choose to fight, we will teach you our ways. If they choose to flee, you and Echo will always have a place among the stars with us. Lisa felt a warmth in her heart that she had never felt before. For the first time in her life, she truly belonged somewhere. She was part of something bigger than herself. Outside, the Kithara ships waited silently in the night sky. Below, the people of Earth looked up and wondered what tomorrow would bring. The choice that would determine the fate of humanity was about to begin. The memory shifted to show other battles. Again and again, the most successful attacks came when someone was willing to sacrifice themselves for the group. Humans have this same quality, the Alpha Prime said as the memory faded. We have observed your history. Your soldiers throw themselves on grenades to save their comrades. Your firefighters run into burning buildings to rescue people they do not know. Your doctors work themselves to death caring for the sick. Amy Chen spoke up. But sacrifice alone will not be enough. The Devourers adapt to everything. True, the Alpha Prime agreed. But there is something else that makes humans special. Echo, show them the bond. Echo walked back to Lisa and pressed his head against her hand. Immediately, everyone in the room gasped. They could all feel it, the connection between Lisa and Echo. The way their thoughts flowed together. The way they could communicate without words. No other species has ever been able to form this bond with Kithara, the Alpha Prime explained. We think it is because humans are naturally empathetic. You can understand the feelings of others, even those very different from yourselves. Dr. Hayes, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. What exactly are you proposing? We are offering to share our technology and our fighting methods with humanity. In return, humans would bond with Kithra partners. Together, we would form mixed crews for our ships. Human creativity and sacrifice, combined with Kithra technology and telepathic coordination. President Rodriguez asked the question everyone was thinking. What are our chances if we fight? The Alpha Prime was quiet for a long moment. Honestly, very small. The Devourers have destroyed civilizations far more advanced than either humans or Kithra. But it is the first time we have found a species that can bond with us. Maybe together we can find a way to surprise them. And if we choose evacuation, we can save perhaps 10% of your population. Maybe 20% if we work quickly. We would take them to a world far from here, where they could rebuild human civilization safely. The weight of the choice settled on everyone in the room. Save a fraction of humanity by abandoning Earth, or risk everything on a desperate fight against an enemy that had never been defeated. General Martinez spoke from his screen. How long do we have to decide? Echo suddenly went rigid. His fur turned bright white, and his eyes rolled back. He made a sound Lisa had never heard before, a sharp, alarmed cry. The Alpha Prime's hologram flickered. The advanced scouts have arrived. They are at the edge of your solar system now, past the orbit of Pluto. We have perhaps 3 weeks before the main fleet arrives. The room erupted in urgent conversation. World leaders began talking rapidly to their advisors. Military officers started making plans. Lisa looked at Echo, who was still trembling from whatever he had sensed. She could feel his fear through their bond, but also his determination. What do you think we should do? She asked him quietly. Echo looked up at her with his golden eyes.
Fight, he said simply.
The pack protects the den. Earth is your den. We will help you protect it. Lisa nodded. She stood up and addressed the room. I want to volunteer for the bonding process, she said loudly. If we are going to fight, we need to start preparing now. Captain Sullivan looked at her. Dr. Morgan, you understand this will change you permanently? I understand. But Echo saved my life by sharing his thoughts with me. Now, I want to save his world by sharing mine with him. The Alpha Prime bowed his head respectfully. The pack welcomes you, Lisa Morgan. You will be our first human pack leader. Outside, the Kithra ships began to move into defensive positions around Earth. The battle for humanity's survival was about to begin. The bonding process was more intense than Lisa had expected. She lay on a special table in the Kithra medical bay aboard the Alpha Prime's ship. The room was filled with soft, colored light that seemed to pulse in rhythm with her heartbeat. Echo lay beside her, his crystal fur glowing steadily. Around them, Kithra medical specialists worked with devices that looked more like musical instruments than surgical tools. They made soft, harmonic sounds that somehow helped Lisa's body accept the changes. Do not fight the connection, the Alpha Prime advised. Let your mind flow into Echo's, and let his flow into yours. Lisa closed her eyes and tried to relax. At first, she felt nothing different. Then, slowly, she began to sense things that were not her own thoughts. She could feel Echo's joy at being surrounded by his own kind again. She could sense his worry about the coming battle. Most surprisingly, she could feel his deep love for her. Not romantic love, but the fierce, protective love of pack family. As the bonding deepened, Lisa's physical body began to change too. Her senses became much sharper. She could hear conversations happening in other parts of the ship. She could smell the unique scent of each Kithra individual. Her vision improved until she could see details that had been invisible before. The most dramatic change was in her mind. Lisa found that she could now sense the emotions and surface thoughts of everyone around her. Not just Echo, but all the Kithra on the ship. It was like being part of a vast, friendly crowd that was always with her. When the process was complete, Lisa sat up and looked at herself in a mirror. Her eyes now had golden flecks that swirled and shifted like Echo's. Her hair had subtle silver highlights that caught the light. Her skin was slightly paler, but seemed to glow with inner health. Echo had changed too. His fur was now less crystalline and more like regular animal fur, though it still changed colors with his emotions. He was larger, nearly the size of a wolf. His face was more expressive, more capable of showing human-like emotions. "How do you feel?" the Alpha Prime asked. Lisa considered the question. "Different, but not wrong. Like I was incomplete before, and now I am whole." "The bonding is successful," the medical specialist confirmed. "You are now fully part of the pack, Lisa Morgan. And Echo is part of human civilization." Over the next week, more humans volunteered for the bonding process. Captain Sullivan was one of the first. His partner was a female Kithara named Silver Dawn, whose fur was like moonlight on water. Amy Chin bonded with a warrior named Sharp Strike. Ben Torres was paired with a young Kithara called Songweaver. Dr. Rachel Kim, Lisa's research partner, had initially been skeptical about the whole process. But when she saw how Lisa and Echo worked together, sharing thoughts instantly, moving in perfect coordination, she volunteered too. Her partner was an elderly Kithara named Wise Root, who had been fighting the Devourers for over 1,000 years. Each bonding was different. Some humans adapted quickly and easily. Others struggled with the mental connection and needed more time. A few could not complete the process at all. Their minds were not flexible enough to merge with Kithara consciousness. But those who succeeded became something new and amazing. They could communicate without words, react to danger before it happened, and coordinate complex actions with perfect timing. The bonded humans also gained access to Kithara technology. Lisa learned to pilot the crystal ships by thinking rather than using physical controls. She could make the ship's weapon systems respond to her intentions, fire precise shots while performing impossible maneuvers. Captain Sullivan, meanwhile, was working with Kithara military leaders to develop new fighting tactics. The Kithara had always fought in large, coordinated groups, like a pack hunting together. But humans brought different ideas, stealth attacks, guerrilla warfare, and unpredictable strategies. The Devourers expect logical, coordinated attacks, Captain Sullivan explained to the joint tactical team. But what if we do things that make no tactical sense? What if we attack in seemingly random patterns? Silver Dawn, his bonded partner, translated his ideas into Kithara battle language. The human concepts are chaotic, but chaos might be exactly what we need. As more humans underwent bonding, strange side effects began to appear. Not just in the humans, but in their Kithara partners too. Echo, who had been the first to bond deeply with a human, was developing abilities that other Kithara did not have. He could now understand human technology intuitively. When Lisa showed him a computer, he could somehow sense what it was thinking if machines could think. Other bonded Kithara were showing similar changes. Sharp Strike could now appreciate human music and art in ways that had been impossible before. Songweaver was learning to cook human food, even though Kithara normally ate very different things. The changes went deeper than just surface abilities. The bonded pairs were becoming something that had never existed before, a true fusion of two different species' best qualities. Lisa found this most obvious when she and Echo were working together on ship repairs. They did not need to speak or even look at each other. Lisa would think about what needed to be done, and Echo would already be moving to help. Echo would sense a problem with the ship systems, and Lisa would instantly understand how to fix it. "We are becoming something new," Dr. Kim observed after her own bonding with Wise Root. "Not human, not Kithara, but something that has the strengths of both." The Alpha Prime agreed. "In our entire history, we have never seen changes like this. The bonding is evolving both our species simultaneously." But not everyone was happy about the changes. Some humans were afraid of what the bonded people were becoming. They worried that humanity was losing its identity. Dr. Hayes was one of the most vocal critics. "These people are not human anymore," he argued at a government meeting. "Look at them. They think differently, they act differently. What happens to human civilization if everyone becomes like them?" President Rodriguez had to make difficult decisions. The bonding process was voluntary, but there was pressure to speed it up as the Devourer threat grew closer. The advanced scouts had been detected moving through the outer solar system, studying Earth's defenses and sending information back to the main fleet. "How many bonded pairs do we need to have a real chance in battle?" the president asked Lisa during a private meeting. Lisa consulted with Echo through their mental link, and he connected with other Kithra to get estimates. At least 1,000, Lisa replied. Preferably 2,000. The Devourer ships are enormous. Each one requires multiple strike teams to take down. And how many do we have now? About 300 bonded pairs. We are getting maybe 20 or 30 new volunteers each day. President Rodriguez did the math. At that rate, we will not have enough fighters when the main fleet arrives. Lisa nodded grimly. We know, but we cannot force people to bond. It has to be a choice made freely, or the process does not work. What made the situation even more complicated was that the bonding process was becoming easier and more attractive as time went on. The first bonded pairs were serving as examples, showing others what was possible. Children were especially fascinated by the bonded humans and Kithra. They would gather around Echo and the other Kithra, asking questions and wanting to pet their crystal fur. The young Kithra, in turn, were delighted by human children's curiosity and playfulness. Some families were choosing to bond together. Parents would pair with adult Kithra, while their children formed friendships with young Kithra that would grow into full bonds as they got older. But there were also families where some members wanted to bond and others did not. This created tension and heartbreak as families had to choose between staying together as unchanged humans or being separated as some members became part of the pack. Lisa felt the weight of responsibility for all of these decisions. She had been the first to bond, the example that others followed. Sometimes she wondered if she had made the right choice. But when she looked at Echo, felt his warm presence in her mind, and saw how the bonded pairs worked together with perfect trust and coordination, she knew the answer. They were not losing their humanity. They were expanding it. The pack was growing stronger every day, and they would need all their strength for what was coming. Through the deep space monitoring systems, they could see the Devourer main fleet approaching. Hundreds of massive ships, each one a world killer, moving steadily toward Earth. The final battle was only days away. The emergency session of the United Nations had never seen anything like it. Representatives from every nation on Earth gathered in New York while Kithra ships hovered silently above the city. The debate had been going on for 6 hours straight. On the main screen, President Rodriguez addressed the assembly. Ladies and gentlemen, we have less than 48 hours to make the most important decision in human history. The Devourer fleet will arrive in our solar system tomorrow evening. The Chinese representative stood up. Madam President, with respect, how can we trust these aliens? We have only their word that this enemy even exists. Before anyone could answer, the lights in the assembly hall dimmed. The Alpha Prime appeared as a hologram at the center of the room. His massive form and glowing crystal fur made several delegates gasp. Ambassador Chin, the Alpha Prime said, perhaps you would like to see the enemy for yourself. The air above the assembly filled with a real-time image from deep space. A dark fleet of ships was moving steadily toward the inner solar system. Each ship was enormous, larger than Earth's moon. Their surfaces were black metal that seemed to absorb light. They moved in perfect formation, like a swarm of insects. Our long-range sensors are tracking 347 Devourer vessels, the Alpha Prime continued. Each one carries enough firepower to destroy a planet. They will reach Earth in 36 hours. The Russian representative leaned forward. What are our chances if we choose to fight? Lisa stood up from her position near the podium. Over the past weeks, she had become the unofficial human spokesperson for the Alliance. Honestly, not good. Maybe 1 chance in 10. But if we choose evacuation, we can only save a small fraction of our population. How small? Asked the representative from India. Lisa looked at Echo, who was lying beside her chair. Through their bond, she could feel his calculations. The Kithra have evacuation ships ready. They can take about 800 million people. That leaves over 7 billion who would have to stay behind. A shocked silence filled the room. The representative from Brazil stood up, his voice shaking. You are asking us to choose who lives and who dies. I am asking you to choose between a slim chance for everyone or certain safety for a few, Lisa replied. The debate continued, but it was clear that most nations were leaning toward evacuation. The odds of victory seemed too small, the risk too great. Then something unexpected happened. A young woman stood up in the gallery where observers were seated. She was not supposed to speak, but she called out anyway. "My name is Jenny Martinez. I am 19 years old. I want to volunteer for bonding." Security guards moved toward her, but President Rodriguez held up her hand to stop them. "Let her speak." Jenny walked down to the main floor. "I have been watching the bonded humans and Kithra training together. I have seen what they can do. They move like one person with two bodies. They think like one mind with two hearts. If this is our only chance to save everyone, then I want to take it." An older man in the gallery stood up too. "I am Dr. Paul Roberts from Johns Hopkins Hospital. I also volunteer." Then another person stood. And another. Within minutes, over 100 people in the assembly hall were on their feet, volunteering to undergo the bonding process. The movement spread beyond the United Nations building. Around the world, people were watching the emergency session on television and the internet. Social media exploded with messages from humans offering to bond with Kithra partners. #SaveEveryone began trending worldwide. Videos of bonded pairs working together went viral. Young people especially seemed drawn to the idea of becoming something new and powerful. But there was also strong opposition. Religious leaders argued that bonding with aliens was against God's plan. Some scientists worried that humanity would lose its unique identity. Many parents were terrified at the thought of their children changing into something non-human. Captain Sullivan, who had been watching from the side of the assembly hall, approached the podium. "Madam President, I would like to make a proposal." President Rodriguez nodded. "Go ahead, Captain. What if we give people a real choice? Not just yes or no to evacuation, but 3 options. First, immediate evacuation for those who want to leave safely. Second, staying on Earth as unchanged humans to help with support roles. Third, volunteering for bonding to join the fight directly." The Alpha Prime considered this. "It could work. We have enough evacuation ships to take anyone who chooses to leave. Those who stay but do not bond could help with logistics, medical support, and rebuilding after the battle." Lisa nodded. "And those who bond would form the core fighting force. It gives everyone a real choice about their own future." The debate continued for another hour, but the proposal gained support. Finally, President Rodriguez called for a vote. "All in favor of offering 3 options to Earth's population?" Hands went up around the room. The final count was 147 in favor, 23 against, and 12 abstentions. "The motion passes," President Rodriguez announced. "We will immediately begin a global referendum. Every person on Earth will have 24 hours to decide their fate." The next day was unlike anything in human history. Polling stations opened in every city, town, and village on Earth. But these were not normal elections. People were voting on whether to leave their world, stay and help, or become something entirely new. The bonding centers were overwhelmed with volunteers. In New York, the line of people wanting to undergo the process stretched for miles. Similar scenes played out in London, Tokyo, Mumbai, Sao Paulo, and dozens of other cities. Lisa worked tirelessly, helping to oversee the bonding process. Each new pair that successfully connected made the pack stronger. She could feel their minds joining the growing network of consciousness that linked all bonded humans and Kithra. But the process was not perfect. About 1 in 5 humans could not complete the bonding. Their minds were not flexible enough, or they became too frightened when they felt their thoughts merging with an alien consciousness. Some who tried to bond had adverse reactions. A few became seriously ill. 2 people died when their nervous systems could not handle the integration. This made others afraid and slowed down the volunteer rate. Meanwhile, families around the world were making heartbreaking decisions. Parents had to choose whether to evacuate with young children or stay to fight. Elderly people had to decide if they were too old to be useful in battle. Young adults had to choose between safety and sacrifice. Lisa's own family faced this choice. Her parents, who lived in Ohio, called her during a brief break in the bonding process. "Sweetheart," her mother said, "we have decided to evacuate. We are too old to fight, and we do not want to slow you down. Lisa felt tears in her eyes. I understand, Mom. I want you to be safe. But we are proud of you, her father added. You found something beautiful out there among the stars. You brought hope back to Earth. As the deadline approached, the results became clear. About 40% of humans chose evacuation. They would be taken to safety on distant worlds, where they could rebuild human civilization far from the devourers. Another 30% chose to stay on Earth as unchanged humans. They would help with medical care, logistics, communication, and rebuilding after the battle. The remaining 30%, over 2 billion people, volunteered for bonding. Not all of them would be successful, but even if only half completed the process, it would create the largest pack in Kithra history. As the evacuation ships began loading passengers, Lisa stood on the observation deck of the command ship, watching the exodus. Massive crystal vessels, each one beautiful and graceful, carried millions of humans away from Earth towards safety. Echo stood beside her, his fur glowing with mixed emotions. Through their bond, Lisa could feel his sadness at seeing families separated, but also his determination to protect those who chose to stay. Do you think we made the right choice? Lisa asked him. Echo looked up at her with his golden eyes. There was no right choice. Only the choice that felt true to our hearts. The pack protects its own. Earth is our den now. We will defend it. On the main screen, tactical displays showed the Devourer fleet entering the outer solar system. The enemy ships moved in perfect formation, their dark hulls absorbing all light. They looked like a plague of locusts descending on a green field. In response, the combined human Kithra fleet took defensive positions around Earth. Crystal ships that glowed like stars positioned themselves between the planet and the approaching threat. Each ship carried crews of bonded pairs, their minds linked in perfect coordination. Lisa felt the presence of every bonded human and Kithra in the fleet. Over 1 million minds connected in a vast network of shared consciousness. They were no longer just humans and aliens fighting together. They were one pack, one family, one unified force. The Alpha Prime's voice echoed through the fleet. Today, we fight not just for Earth, but for the principle that different species can become one people. Today, we prove that love and sacrifice are stronger than hunger and destruction. Lisa took her position at the tactical station. Echo lay beside her, his mind fully merged with the ship's targeting systems. Around them, other bonded pairs prepared for battle. Outside, the first Devourer scouts entered weapon range. The battle for Earth was about to begin. The first Devourer ship that entered Earth's solar system was massive beyond imagination. It was shaped like a dark crystal, with faceted surfaces that seemed to bend light around them. As it moved past Mars, the planet's orbital path shifted slightly from the gravitational pull. Lisa watched from the command bridge as the Alpha Prime coordinated the defense. Around Earth, over 3,000 crystal ships waited in formation. Each ship carried a crew of bonded humans and Kithra, their minds linked in perfect harmony. Remember, the Alpha Prime broadcast to all ships, the Devourers will adapt to any weapon we use repeatedly. We must be unpredictable. We must be chaotic. We must be human. The first engagement happened near Jupiter. Captain Sullivan, bonded with Silver Dawn, led a strike force of 50 ships against the lead Devourer vessel. Their attack was deliberately strange. Instead of using conventional weapons, they fired harmless light beams and musical tones while positioning themselves in seemingly random patterns. The Devourer ship ignored them at first, treating the display as some kind of primitive threat display. That was exactly what Sullivan had hoped for. Now, he commanded through the mental link. All 50 ships suddenly changed course and rammed themselves directly into different points on the Devourer's hull. The sacrificial attack created breaches in the alien armor just as massive Kithra energy weapons fired from hidden positions behind Jupiter's moons. The combination was devastating. The lead Devourer ship cracked like an egg and exploded in a brilliant flash of light. But the victory came at a terrible cost. Captain Sullivan and Silver Dawn were among those who did not survive the ramming attack. Lisa felt their loss like a physical pain through the pack bond. 48 other bonded pairs had also died in those first few seconds of battle. They adapt quickly. Amy Chin reported from her position on the tactical ship. Her partner, Sharp Strike, was monitoring the remaining Devourer vessels. The other ships are already reinforcing their hulls against ramming attacks. Lisa nodded grimly. Then we changed tactics. Ben, what about the sonic attack we practiced? Ben Torres and his partner Songweaver had developed a way to use Kithra musical abilities as weapons. By focusing harmonic frequencies through the ship's crystal matrix, they could create sound waves that disrupted electronic systems. Ready to try it, Ben confirmed. The next wave of attacks was completely different. Instead of ramming or shooting, the human Kithra ships began to sing. Thousands of voices, both human and alien, joined in a harmony that resonated through space itself. The sound waves hit the Devourer ships and caused their systems to malfunction. Several smaller vessels lost power and drifted helplessly. But again, the enemy adapted quickly. Within minutes, they had modified their electronics to filter out the harmful frequencies. The battle continued for hours. Each time the Allied forces found a successful tactic, the Devourers adapted and countered it. Ramming attacks, sonic weapons, coordinated swarm tactics, stealth approaches, everything worked once, then became useless. But something strange was happening. Every time the humans and Kithra tried a new approach, they got better at working together. The pack bond was growing stronger under pressure. Lisa could feel the minds of 1,000,000 fighters connected to hers, sharing ideas and emotions in real time. Dr. Rachel Kim and her partner Wise Root discovered something important during the third hour of battle. Lisa, Rachel's voice came through the mental link. We think we know why the Devourers are so good at adapting. They are not just copying our technology, they are learning from our thoughts. What do you mean? They are scanning our brains when we attack. They can see what we plan to do before we do it. That is how they adapt so fast. Lisa felt a chill of fear. If the enemy could read their minds, how could they ever surprise them? But Echo, lying beside her on the command bridge, suddenly sat up. His crystal fur blazed with bright gold light. Not all minds, he said. They can read individual thoughts, but not pack thoughts. The bond confuses them. Lisa understood immediately. The Devourers were machines, built to analyze and counter logical thinking. But the pack bond created something that was not logical. It was emotional, intuitive, based on love and trust rather than cold calculation. Everyone, Lisa broadcast to the fleet, stop thinking about tactics. Stop planning attacks. Just feel what needs to be done. It was the most difficult thing she had ever asked trained military people to do. But as the bonded pairs let go of conscious strategy and trusted their shared instincts, something amazing happened. The fleet began to move like a single living creature. Ships flowed around Devourer vessels like water around rocks. Attacks came from impossible angles at perfect moments. The human Kithra forces fought with a grace and coordination that seemed to defy physics. The Devourers, for the first time in their long history, could not predict what their enemies would do next. Their adaptation systems, designed to counter logical attacks, failed when faced with pure instinct and emotion. One by one, the massive enemy ships began to fall. But the cost was enormous. For every Devourer vessel destroyed, dozens of crystal ships were lost. The pack bond carried the pain of every death, every sacrifice, to all the survivors. Lisa felt each loss like a knife to her heart. These were not just allies dying, they were family members, pack mates, people whose minds had been connected to hers. But the pack did not break. If anything, the shared grief made them stronger. Each sacrifice was honored by fighting harder, by protecting the others more fiercely. The final phase of the battle came when the 3 largest Devourer ships reached Earth's orbit. Each one was the size of a small moon, bristling with weapons that could crack a planet's crust. Lisa looked at the tactical display and realized that all their remaining ships combined could not stop even one of those giants. They needed a miracle. That was when Echo stood up and walked to the center of the bridge. His fur was now blazing so brightly that it hurt to look at him directly. All Kithra, he called through the pack bond. Prepare for the final song. Echo, no, Lisa said, suddenly understanding what he planned. The final song kills everyone who sings it. Echo looked at her with his golden eyes, full of love and sadness. The pack protects the den. Earth is our den now. Before Lisa could stop him, Echo began to sing. Not the musical calls he usually made, but something deeper and more powerful. It was the sound of crystal resonating at its breaking point. Across the fleet, every Kithara joined in the song. Their crystal ships began to glow brighter and brighter until they looked like small stars against the darkness of space. The song reached the 3 massive Devour ships and did something that no weapon had been able to do. It disrupted the fundamental forces that held their matter together. The dark vessels began to vibrate, their hulls cracking along stress lines that should not have existed. But the price was terrible. One by one, the Kithara ships exploded as their crystal matrices overloaded. The beautiful vessels that had carried the pack to victory were destroying themselves to save Earth. Lisa watched in horror as Echo's own body began to glow too brightly. The final song was burning him out from the inside. "No," she whispered, grabbing him in her arms. "I will not let you go." Through their bond, Lisa poured her own life force into Echo. She felt her human energy mixing with his Kithara essence, creating something new. Around them, other bonded pairs were doing the same thing, humans sacrificing themselves to save their alien partners, Kithara dying to protect their human families. The combination of human determination and Kithara power created a resonance that even the pack had not expected. Instead of just destroying themselves, the ships began to transform. Crystal and metal, organic and artificial, life and technology merged into something that had never existed before. When the light faded, the 3 Devourer ships were gone. In their place drifted harmless debris that sparkled like diamonds in the sunlight. But the cost had been enormous. Of the 3,000 ships that had started the battle, fewer than 100 remained. Most of the Kithara were dead. Most of the bonded humans had given their lives in the final song. Lisa looked down at Echo in her arms. He was still alive, but barely. His crystal fur had turned pale silver, and his golden eyes were dim. "Did we win?" he whispered. Lisa looked at the tactical display. No more Devourer ships appeared on the scanners. The enemy fleet had been completely destroyed. "Yes," she said, tears streaming down her face. "We won." 5 years later, Lisa stood on the balcony of her home in the rebuilt city of New Geneva. Below her, children played in a garden where crystal flowers grew alongside earth roses. Some of the children were human, some were Kithara, and some were beautiful combinations of both species. Echo lay beside her in the afternoon sun. He had survived the final battle, though he was never quite the same. His fur remained silver now, and he moved more slowly. But his mind was still connected to hers, and his love still warmed her heart. The bonding had permanently changed both species. Humans who had connected with Kithara partners could still hear the pack bond, even if their partners had died. Kithara who had survived gained human emotions and creativity that enriched their ancient culture. Earth had become something new, a world where 2 species lived as one people. The cities were rebuilt with both human and Kithara technology. Art and music,